Good evening, Californios. It's Friday night, October 29th, 2021, and we are Red Star Report. This is Voices for the California Nation. In a week worthy of bipolar weather and Halloween horrors, California remains on fire as La Nina brings some much-needed rain across our nation's state. All this as we Californians can only sit in stunned resignation watching the self-serving indifference and obtuse incompetence of our occupying federal government as they pull the teeth of the climate change components in Joe Biden's Build Back Better legislation. Seriously, it feels like we've pinned our very survival in California on a bunch of federal monkeys 3,000 miles away fighting each other to the death as they try to fuck a football. So, hashtag new Calexit or hashtag national divorce becomes a statement of climate self-preservation. Because, as no matter how you feel personally about it, as all this is going down, at least Gavin Newsom told reporters at a news conference in Oakland on Wednesday, California is working to achieve economy-wide carbon neutrality by 2045. And no other state in America comes close to our leadership in that space. And, of course, my favorite line as well, we don't see oil in our future. California, we don't see oil in our future. That's a Red Star t-shirt worthy in itself. Last year, Newsom called to ban the sale of new gas-powered vehicles in the state by 2035. In April, Newsom banned new permits for hydraulic fracturing or fracking starting in 2024, hopefully ending that dangerous oil extraction method that's been targeted by environmental activists for years. Can I say it's about fracking time? Sorry. It was just hanging there, so I had to. It was a moral imperative. Anyway. And last week, the Newsom administration moved towards banning new oil and gas drilling of wells within 3,200 feet of homes, schools, and healthcare facilities. While Newsom had been quietly prepping for a trip to the 2021 Nations Climate Change Conference in Glasgow for several weeks, saying, California provides an example to the world that a state can be committed to fighting global warming while still thriving economically. It was one of the obvious I'm the leader of a California nation-state gestures that the California independence movement has been calling for since Trump removed the U.S. from the climate accords 4 years ago, and that Jerry Brown mostly refused to consider, even as California had continued to be invited. Unfortunately, on Friday, Governor Gavin Newsom abruptly canceled plans to lead the California delegation to next week's United Nations Climate Change Conference due to family obligations. No further details were provided, but Newsom still plans to address the Assembly via internet, and the rest of California's official delegation will be led by Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis to urge world leaders to take immediate action on climate change. Because the time for discussion is over, right? This is an annual climate change conference, and it's number 26. Californians are already grappling with the consequences of America's never-ending climate change versus fossil fuel debate. For Californians, the ongoing devastation from massive wildfires, mega droughts, and oil spills ended that argument. So, will California's non-voting presence this year bring a paradigm shift for the world in the climate change struggle? I can't tell you. But just attending as one of many U.S. states instead of a sovereign country means we don't get a seat at the conference table, so probably not. But at least California gets to stand up on the world stage as an international presence and say the crisis is here now. California can't wait until 2050 for the rest of corporate or hillbilly America to get its collective shit together and join the rest of the world in this fight. And best of all, it can be said by a Californian with a California voice speaking on behalf of a California people. And that's a long overdue California national recognition event, even in these hard times, worthy of celebration. This is Voices for a California Nation. All right, next up, Activism in Action with Shankar Singham. Go get him, Shankar.
Thank you, Hal. Welcome to another episode of Activism in Action. If you would remember this Red Star Reports episode back in January, after the January 6th insurrection attempt, if you look at the episode right after, I actually do a commentary on this and tell you basically that this is a concocted effort from coming from the fabric of our government on up high to the highest offices you can imagine. And sure enough, what happens this week, of course, Rolling Stone article comes out interviewing two of the planners and organizers for the Stop the Steal rally that happened January 6th. So Rolling Stone comes out and talks to these two people who coordinated and planned the entire event. And what they say is so damning to Congress, it's ridiculous. I mean, you have, they say that they met with members of Congress dozens and dozens of times, meaning that from November 3rd to January 6th, if they met dozens and dozens of times, it's at least once a week, if not twice a week, 3 times a week, they met with, let's go through the list of Congress people that they met so far, that they named in the article at least. Mark Meadows, which is the president's press secretary, his staff, Marjorie Taylor Greene, no surprise there, of course. Miss Corporate Communism herself. Madison Cawthorn, of course, the fake outrage master. Andy Biggs, old school, old money, old racist Republican. Paul Gosar, another old school Republican racist. Lauren Boebert from Colorado, the gun-toting house marm from Colorado who wears a gun to Congress because she's afraid of her life, right? Or maybe it was to take out Capitol Police. Who knows? Mo Brooks, another old school Republican, and then Louis Gohmert, whatever I say it. So you have 8 of these Congress people that the January 6th organizers say help them in a concerted effort to invade the Capitol and stop the count from happening. Effectively stopping a democratically run election, okay? Which is against the very democracy of, which is the foundations of what this country was, what we were told this country, the United States, was based on, okay? Now, as blatant as it is, that you have a blatant accusation here of sedition from 8 members of Congress. There's not a damn thing that will happen to them because the Democrats don't have a spine in their body. The Democrats will never press charges on them. These 8 people will never see the light of court because they are elites. They are better than us. They're keeping up the white aristocracy. Believe me, if these people were any other race than white, they would have been disbarred from Congress and probably in jail right now waiting trial. But here it is. It's been, a week since the Rolling Stone article came out. Nothing's been done. I think Congress doesn't even know what to do now. They have their ongoing investigation on why Steve Bannon didn't show up to their hearing. The whole thing is a joke. The whole thing is a ridiculous joke. these people will get away scot-free. And what's going to happen after that? Well, you have 8 members of Congress that planned an insurrection are going to get away scot-free, meaning in their mind, hey, it's okay. The fact that there's no consequences to their actions only leads to the point that the second coup is coming, is what I was talking about last week. The second coup is coming, folks. No one's going to stop them. And in 2 years, they have to plan this. The last coup they had, maybe 6 months. This one, they've got 2 years. They've got 2 years to get the financial backing, the military backing, the congressional backing. It's going to happen, folks. And it does not matter if Trump loses the votes. If Trump loses the popular vote or if he loses the electoral vote, it does not matter. Trump is out there right now telling his voters, don't even bother voting because he's going to take it. Go back to that episode, folks, in January on Red Star where I say that because I call this thing out. I call out a lot of stuff because it's blatantly obvious. I also have work with people that are, it's their business to know these things. So if I have a stark warning like I have right now, believe me, it's rooted in absolute fact and truth. Okay, so that was the insurrection. Let's talk about activism. And who are the ones out there right now doing it? The Republicans are. The right wing is. Now, there's 3 factions of Republicans, okay? The ones that invaded the Capitol. There was 3 factions, and right now there's 3 factions, okay? You have the white supremacist, white nationalist, okay, that are in the Republican Party. You have the QAnon people, okay? And then you have the regular Republican folk who have now been swept up after January 6th, radicalized into one or both of these camps. Okay? So those are the 3 types of Republicans. And right now they are upset about the most trivial things. And they call it the culture war. And the goal of the culture war is to take the culture war and make it into a civil war. They can't argue actual policy because they have no policy, they have no solutions. Their argument loses every time. So now all they have is to point out critical race theory, mask mandates, vaccine. No people have been getting hurt. Nobody's lives are in danger, but this is what they're protesting about. This is what they're forcing all of us to talk about. Because this gets them out on the street. This gets them ready to take on what is coming up after that. This is their practice, folks. So why are they doing this? Why are the white supremacists doing this? You say, if you're upset that I say that the right wing is white supremacist, I'm sorry, but that is exactly what is driving it. Is it want to turn off the TV? Do you want to click somewhere else? Because you don't like what you're hearing? You need to wake up. In a society where you have a particular ethnicity that's dominant, they set a standard. Especially if they're letting in others from the outside into their society, they'll set a standard saying, "Hey, if you work this hard and you follow these rules, you'll get here too." Okay. Now, never mind how the dominant ethnicity got there. In the United States, it'd be the white people that came here. Were given a lot of allowances by the federal government. They committed genocide on the natives, subjugated black people. I mean, they stepped on and crushed many people from many different countries to get to the status where they are right now. Okay, and now that they're there, they're telling every one of us, "Hey, follow these rules, and you'll get here too." So it's been about 50, 100 years now, and people have been following the rules and playing the game. And now that a lot of these browner people are coming up in stature next to them, they don't like it. And so what they're doing is they're going to change the rules. And that's what we're seeing right now, folks. They're changing the rules. They don't like the fact that all these people are coming up that aren't white. Time to change the rules. You don't like how the election came out? It was a fake. Change the rules. Mask mandate? Don't like it. Don't need to wear it because it saves everybody's lives. Change the rules. No mask mandate. Let everybody die out, including their own, if it means that. Trump vaccine. He did the fast and ready. What's the name of that program that he used? Warp speed. Warp speed. Let's get the vaccine. Vaccine comes out. Oh, they made it too fast. I don't trust it. Don't take it. And they don't care who's harmed in this, folks, because they're looking at the bigger picture, which is their dominance. And if they got to crack a few eggs, including their own, to get there, that's fine. Around the world, it's a sad thing. The entire planet is sad for the United States. Just to give you an example, this is a personal example. I have a family member, 10-year-old boy, who got accepted to a academy abroad in Europe. This is his dream. He's very talented. Scouts came out and basically recruited him. This is a life-changing, altering event, and we were so proud of him. He was supposed to leave in November. As we touch base, as the parents touch base with the school, they said, sorry, we're not letting Americans into the country. And they're not the only country that's doing that. Because of the COVID-19 crisis here in the United States, because of what these right-wingers have done as far as disinformation about the virus, about the vaccine, the entire planet has made us a social pariah and not allowing us to travel anywhere, folks. So USA number one, yeah, you're not allowed to go anywhere, USA. You're not allowed to travel to most countries. There's a travel ban against you because of the right-wing blowhards. Now, when I heard that about my nephew, I got really angry. I wanted to knuckle sandwich to the first guy I saw without a mask who was touting Trump. I lost my mind. I couldn't believe it, right? But I've calmed down now. And a drive and a cigarette helps, but this is what they've done, folks. And my nephew's not the only one. I can only imagine the other children, other people in their dreams being crushed for this travel ban. Because the people that support Trump don't travel. They don't leave the country. They don't give a shit about that. So they're ruining our reputations, the United States reputations at least, if it's not already ruined already. And they're ruining our livelihoods, our future talent. I mean, it's just all scoping, but they don't care. Until their dominance is established, they will crack eggs. So there we go. We have to deal with that. So let's talk about the heroes. Who are the heroes of the right wing, of the right? So you've got the McCloskeys. Remember the McCloskeys? They came out of their home with a handgun and an AR-15 when a group of BLM protesters were marching by their home on the street on their way to the state capitol. They marched by these people's homes, and they came out with their guns drawn, pointed at people for no reason at all. Now, instead of going to jail for brandishing a weapon, these people were applauded and given the front row at the next Republican campaign event for Trump. Front row. Standing ovation. How about Gates? Matt Gates. This guy is a child rapist. He's right now getting prosecuted for for taking a minor over state lines and then raping her, statutory rape. He's a human trafficker. He's a hero of the right wing. They don't believe any of those stories. They believe him. He's a perpetuator of the big lie that the election was stolen. He is one of their heroes. And he's a scumbag piece of shit. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who wouldn't tear down a statue of Hitler because that's how she's going to teach her kids about him, who believes in corporate communism. And whose last campaign commercial had her with a scope-style rifle, a sniper rifle, sniping targets, I would imagine, I hope. But it was to send the message about her competitor, right? Look at all these examples, folks. Oh, and then you also have the woman that was shot by Capitol Police. I forgot her name right now, but she was shot in the neck as she tried to break a window to enter where members of Congress were. And Secret Service went and just shot her right through the neck, and her eyes just glazed up and fell back. And as much as the other traitorous bastards were trying to help her, she bled out. And she is now a martyr for the right wing. Donald Trump invokes her name. She's said in prayers and is hailed as a hero. Look at all these people. Oh, and then you have Kyle Shittenhouse, Kyle Rittenhouse, who shot 3 protesters. He went to a BLM protest, shot 3 protesters, and now he's under trial. And he's a hero to the right wing when he was released on bail. By the way, he's 17 years old, not allowed to have a rifle, not allowed to bring a rifle across state lines, and then he shot 3 people, okay? Released on bail, right? He goes to a bar and drinks are free. He's a hero. And the institutional racism that comes with that, here's the worst part. His trial is happening right now. The racist judge just said that you can't call the people that he shot victims. You have to refer to them as looters. There's no proof that none of them were looting. And that has nothing to do with this case. But the judge has ruled that they cannot call those people victims because he's a racist piece of shit. He's an institutionalized racist piece of shit. This kid's going to get away with it. This is white supremacy, folks. They're poking it right at our faces. If it was a black guy that shot 3 people at a protest, you think the judge would allow, don't call them victims? It also came out 3 Boogaloo boys now, total. One was just arrested this last week. Traveled up to Minneapolis, and shot a police shot at the police station and yelled, justice for Floyd, after he shot a police station 20 times. And then they have the audacity to say that BLM protests were violent and that cities burned down. When every attempt, you have this Kyle Kittenhouse guy, you have this Boogaloo boys going out there to all these other places, and they're the ones causing the violence. This is white supremacy. Plain and simple. If you don't believe it, you're naive. You're a naive person, and you need to step aside. Or you're a Nazi. One of the two. So that's what we've got this week, folks. Here's the chud of the week. take a look at this guy. FBI is looking for him. He's a piece of shit who beat police, broke windows, and I'm going to say he took a shit inside the Capitol as well. Because a lot of people took a shit inside the Capitol. And I wish, as disgusting a job as that would be to find out who it was by DNA, I don't think they're going to do it. But this guy just looks like a public shitter. So, if you have seen this guy, you recognize this guy, please inform the FBI and use the name that they have on that label. That way you can identify it. Okay. Again, this picture is courtesy of seditionhunters.com. Great job for those sedition hunters guys. Obviously, I don't care if my face is being shown. I've been attacked by the right before. I've been had contracts on my head by Nazis. It's not a big deal for me. But sedition hunters keep their identities hid very well, and good for them. My hat's off to sedition hunters and the hundreds of people that are on that website. That's all I've got. Hal, back to you, man.
Thanks, Shankar. It's time for talking points. Tonight on Talking Points, should California unilaterally declare independence and start a civil war? I mean, with all the talk of a coming civil war from the American ultra-right, this seems to fit right in with the narrative of those people who were threatening to take back their America at gunpoint if necessary. Even in the formerly hallowed institutions of the U.S. House and Senate, duly elected representatives feel way too comfortable right now with the idea of violence against people who believe in the progressive ideals of human rights that we Californians simply hold as California values. So this question has grown an emerging urgency it didn't have just a few years ago. And even if we put aside the idea of America's eventual collapse or the possibility that so-called patriot militias on the ultra-right are arming up and embracing the idea of starting this civil war anyway, should California just declare independence and maybe start a civil war? No. And the California independence movement as a community has no civil war fantasies. Unlike the modern U.S. Republican Party and about half of the rest of America, it would seem. Who will support or at least tolerate the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, Three Percenters, and all the other hee-haw fascist militias out there that seem to dream about some sort of heroic armed struggle for the country if it will get them what they politically want. A dystopian America where they can shoot people with their favorite assault rifles under a long co-opted American flag in the streets of a ruined and dying United States, who somehow want to call ramming their Fourth Reich version of American devastation and white minority corporate rule down everyone's throat while calling it freedom. And why would Californians ever want to leave that, really? No, by the way, this makes Californians and those who support peaceful independence the good guys here, if anyone was still actually keeping score, and it doesn't look like anyone is. Because even though the California independence movement is based on this widening political and socioeconomic gulf between California and the rest of the United States, the movement has always worked for a peaceful secession through fair, legal, and even constitutional means, most notably through the ballot box. And if we Californians find ourselves in a situation where California seeks to achieve independence through any other means, like a U.S. government failure somehow, through collapse or a coup, both of which seem more possible every day, it was not California or the independence movement that drove those events. Talking point. So, should California unilaterally declare independence and start a civil war? No. Because we're not about California independence at all costs. Californians still believe in right and wrong, and a peaceful solution to the growing U.S. political divide, even in the face of a growing, violent, intolerant, and aggressive American right. But make no mistake, in this devolving American political reality, Californians do recognize these facts. Californians are constantly harmed by America's policy failures on health care, human rights, immigration, homelessness, taxation, voting rights, climate change, police reform, federal land management, recreational drug use, banking, the military, corporate welfare, and the list just goes on and on and on, year after year after year, with none of these problems ever getting solved. Until it has become painfully obvious that the best solution for California is to move control of these policies from Washington, D.C., who is mostly not accountable to the people of California, to Sacramento, who is entirely accountable to the people of California. And we in the California independence movement have good people and good organizations fighting for that. One policy and one piece of federal land at a time. Because no more taxation without representation, right? And no more out-of-touch government 3,000 miles away making the rules. These are ideas that America's founding fathers would have understood completely. At 1/8 of the total U.S. budget, Californians are being treated like America's wallet. And yet California is just another of 50 states, right? A state of California that half of our fellow Americans despise as being un-American. Is it any wonder why many of us in the California independence movement see no reason for California to keep acting like a team player when clearly much of America doesn't want us to be part of the team? A point hard to ignore when one of the two major parties in the U.S. system advocates voter suppression to the point of taking up arms against the very idea of free and fair elections. So, should Californians unilaterally declare independence and start a civil war? No. But the future is uncertain. The USA can't honestly claim to be a real democracy when 40 million Californians, as 1/8 of all U.S. citizens, have ended up second-class voters in a failing and yet increasingly hostile America. We have to see what happens. This is Talking Points. Well, that's it for this week. Check out our website, www.redstarreport.com. Transcripts of Talking Points will be posted there. Also be sure to subscribe to our Red Star Report YouTube channel. And more of you are, which please keep it up. Please, please, please. Go find our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, etc., because if you want a real California independence movement media group, you know I'm going to say it. It's all about the algorithms. Our thanks to you and our Red Star Rebels for watching. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. See you soon. This has been podcast number 23. We are Red Star Report.